Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Jamsys, and we're doing something today that I don't think I've done in a really long time. And if you haven't been spoiled by the title somehow, I'm actually playing standard, or the closest to standard you'll ever see me play, I guess. This is a pretty popular draft in the higher tiers, but I never personally tried it for myself because I never had FCC built, and you know, FCC is kind of one of those plus 15 units, if I'm not mistaken. Just because all their skills have like pretty good utility, or like she's a plus 14 unit, like she's one of those units that need a lot of molas, so I never wanted to commit to that. And my bruiser gear in general is not that good, but you will see that you can easily leverage like one or two good speed sets into bruiser units. But in the first match, we're up against someone from our guild, a uni hero. For some background, he was 4th place in the Amazon Conqueror Cup or something. So yeah, he's not a bad player, but I am going to continue my win streak against him. I think I am 4-0 against him or 5-0 against him, but like, who's counting? But yeah, this draft mainly revolves around a few core picks of DJB, FCC, Peyra, and Steny. And I'll have to say that this isn't a very F2P friendly type of comp. The cores, 2 out of 4 are ML5s that are not from like connections or whatever, and Peyra requires good-ish speed gear. So that's kind of another out. But I ego my opponent a little bit here just because I know that his units aren't that fast. What most people would have done with this draft is they would have picked Peyra somewhere in the middle just because it's good against Karina too, and pick her as like a double mid. So like you'll see a lot of my drafts in this mini-series of where I'm like playing standard is technically double knights because Peyra is escort, and escort's broken, and FCC just provides a billion, you know, damage mid to your team for the low price of existing. We open up here in this game, and we go into the Destina, but the Destina lives, which I wasn't expecting, but I guess if you're a Carmen enthusiast, Carmen Destina enthusiast, your Destina might as well be tanky enough to survive Emma Laikas, but if my Emma Laika was triple S there, she would have killed, but no matter. My dear friend, Uni Hero, doesn't have any good way to actually kill my team, and his Steny has a really good chance of just dying outright here to the Sylvan Sage Vivian Destry. We get a lucky RNG win dual attack, and our Sylvan Sage Vivian actually survives the Karina S3 thanks to FCC's Aureus plus the like giant barrier shield. And since it's just Karina versus the world at this point, well, I guess Carmen was there, but what was she gonna do realistically? Like, there's no way Karina and Carmen will kill FCC before the rest of my DPS units kill them. But that's something that I really like about this drafting style, is that it has a lot of flexibility where you can play more aggressively if you want, or you can slow down and play tanky. And there's a lot of situations where you end up with like 1v4 solo carries, not 1v4, but you often end up with single DPS, which you can find a little bit boring. And since you need to have the right DPS for the right situation, it's actually really cash. Like, there's a lot of situations where I'm like, oh, Fapton would have been really good here. Oh, like a well-built Karina would have been good here. Or like, oh, like, there's a bunch of like units like that that I personally do not have access to, so I found very difficult to deal with. But yeah, we are up against someone who participated in the E7 World Championship, so that's pretty spooky because that means their gear is good. They probably know how to draft, or like better than I do. Like, and And they also probably have just higher gear score in general. Since I am not a whale, I'm gonna have a hard time competing against it, but you know, your boy's always here to try. But yeah. Another fun thing about this draft is that I moved my Sea Lilius gear onto Para. And if you thought my Sea Lilius was kind of at a disgusting speed, my Para almost breaks 320 speed with this. And it has spoiled me so much in a lot of these games just because 320 is like ungodly fast. It outspeeds almost every opener. Like, well, she's one of the fastest. So it outspeeds most openers without imprints, and I've even outsped a few zeros with no imprints on my side, which is a very, very goated based achievement, I guess. But yeah, if you want to replicate this draft, you'll have to keep that in mind. Because what I end up doing a lot of the time is that I just ban Zeo. Since this drafting style actually doesn't care about Zeo, a lot of the time I end up banning Zeo on the post ban, and then my Para outspeeds their opener plus 1 imprint, and then I get to laugh at them. But only in my mind, because I'm not toxic. And, you know, if my opponent whips out the Fapton, I don't want to deal with it. I'm more than confident that Landy or Sylvan Sage Rivian can make short work of his team. His Stenny's probably going to die to 1 or 2 rounds of S3s from either my DPS, and I'm just waiting for what my opponent is going to ban. Surprisingly, they banned Sylvan Sage Rivian. Well, it's not that surprising, in all honesty, because Landy's quite unreliable in these comps. While Landy is pretty nice into these like cleave situations or like Aggro compositions where you can force her to S3 twice in the first turn, playing standard against her is just asking to get killed because, you know, like Guiding Light like 30% you and you just die, or you randomly get hit by something and you just die. And she's an easily countered unit nowadays, especially with units like Bryceria, Shuna, Sharoon running around. So whatever. We luckily do not get Stenny pulled here, but I'm pretty sure my Stenny would have lived anyway. But can we also talk about how their Sea Lilius outsped my Para? It was kind of disturbing, I'm not going to lie. My Para is, again, 320 speed almost, so their Conqueror Lilius outspeeding is kind of disgusting. But I guess it all works out because it lets me get my ideal skill rotation through, where I press all my buttons anyway. I even get a barrier inversion for good measure, and then this Stenny is like Omega dead. This is a fully charged S3, I have attack buff. I don't have any imprints on my side, unfortunately, that boost attack, but it shouldn't matter. Stenny, as expected, explodes, and now I'm actually able to protect my Landy from getting poked out of stealth by LRK. And this is what I was saying about I guess I was saying this in my mind earlier, but I really disrespected FCC. But after playing with FCC, she's really annoying. She just provides so much mitigation, and you get to hide your like squishy DPS units behind it, and they suddenly become giga tanky because they get like 6k, 7k barriers plus like skill nulls randomly. And my FCC is on pretty junk gear too, where she has no imprints. She's like 200 speed, which is why she's slower than everything. And no ER. Like if you had a really good FCC, like I've even seen like Bruiser FCC that finish off Stennies and stuff, it's like kind of disgusting. Anyway, my opponent still can't reveal Landy because Stenny doesn't have her multi-hit S1 yet, and LRK has to cycle back around. My opponent's just trying to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, but I don't think it's gonna work out too well for him, because this is like a great showcase of like why this draft is very difficult to deal with sometimes. Like,
I'll take your life.
There's a lot of ways to deal with it. Like, this draft is actually really weak to things that outspeed the Para. If you have like an Amid or something, like Amid cleaving this draft is very possible and stuff, but against other standard centric drafts, I think this is a really fun draft to try out. It's just, I guess the barrier of entry is pretty high with 2 ML5, 1 speed unit, But I guess Para is a easier speed unit to gear because she honestly needs no stats. Mine is pretty good effectiveness and bulk, but whatever. We get the second empowered land DS3 off. We're able to do Para bullshit. And yeah, my opponent's pretty much done. And I get to hold on to the title of E7 WC Championship Mode #1. I'm just kidding. That video was so clickbait, and like someone in like channel 2 the other day recognized me about it, and I was like so embarrassed. But what can you do? There's other things I want to say about this draft that I forgot, but I'm sure it'll come to me. But oh, this is a segment where I'm gonna shamelessly plug myself. If you wanna come watch me play some more of this draft live, I'm no longer aim at cleaving for like the foreseeable future, I guess. We'll see. If Summer Luke is a cleave unit, we might go back, but for now we'll continue playing this Faintless draft even though my standard units kind of suck. But yeah, catch me on like Sundays at like 5 p.m. EST or whatever. Oh yeah, this is what I want to say. I found it really annoying that Celius wasn't like in 90% of the games, even when I didn't first pick. And it kind of drives me insane how if you want to succeed in this meta, you either need to pre-ban Celius or have ways to deal with Celius, and I found that incredibly obnoxious. So this is a PSA, if you spam Celius first pick, you're kind of cringe. And that obviously includes me, but I picked Bryceria here because Bryceria kind of dicks his whole team. It's really good into Low Queen Charlotte, just regular Charlotte, sorry. It's decent into Sylvan Sage Vivian because the Death Break does like 1 billion damage. And it's decent into LRK because, again, Death Breaks do 1 billion damage. And Unbuffables means that his immunity that he puts up gets a lot less value. I last pick Aria because the first 4 units are actually really Ariable. And my opponent last picks Solitaria. I'm kind of forced to ban it just because it hard counters my draft. But I should be fine because either my Para outspeeds and I shut down a Celius, or my DJB goes and shuts down his Celius. So I was expecting a Aria ban here, to be honest, but they decide to ban DJB. Oh, I didn't pick Para this game. That's right. Okay, let me talk about something else that I found really annoying. I actually just geared Para, and then I ran into like 50 people who pre-banned Para. And nobody that pre-banned Celius. I was like, whoa. Getting hate crimed during queuing up for these games, and I was just like, but it should be fine. He bans DJB, but like look at his units on the right side. Not too particularly good at killing Aria, if I'm being honest. And we still do have FCC mitigation, so everyone else can die, and I'm okay with that. I just need Aria to survive and get our S3 off. Unfortunately, this LRK is a little too fast for my Stenny to cut, so he gets immunities up on everybody. But it doesn't really matter because most of the important units had like the immunity set anyway. But that is something I need to think about working on, is like maybe I want to get a really fast Stenny, like a 220 Stenny, but getting her at that speed with bulk and damage is kind of hard, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, we're just back to whatever is happening here. We're just waiting till Aria gets a turn, because it's looking like it's going to be an Aria solo. Bryceria is basically out of the game forever. Stenny is about to die to a sneeze, but it's okay, we have Aria. My opponent did not respect the Aria pick, so they're about to get punished.
See fear in your eyes. Do not stand back.
I've actually seen a lot of Arias and profile cards, and I just want to say that some of y'all are really nasty. But you guys already did that. The Stenny kind of is doing, not the Stenny, the Sylvan Sage Vivian from the S1 pulls are kind of doing a lot of damage to my Aria, and that's kind of spooky, but it's fine. She should be able to get big heals from this. And I was kind of worried during this battle that maybe Sylvan Sage Vivian will be able to solo my Aria, or like 1v1 her eventually due to insight. But I think I have enough souls that if it comes down to it, I can just soul burn like 10 million times and just be done with it. The Sylvan Sage Vivian continues to DPS my team down, and she's eating so many counterattacks, she's actually running out of insight stacks really quickly. I get really tempted to soul burn here on Steny, but I think that's a mistake because, like, what is Steny gonna do? She's attacked down, and I guess she'll cycle out of the attack down after this attack, but I'm more concerned about having Aria succeed. And since LRK ate so many attacks due to Aria, like, it was doubtful that Steny was going to do anything impactful or important. We go for the Bryceria S3 though, because luckily she does survive to the end, just because Guiding Light is really fair and balanced, and her passive, Immortality, make her really annoying and sticky in ways that I have never experienced. And unluckily, we don't really strip this Sylvan Sage Vivian, which is kind of an L, because there's no way this thing's running ER, right? But whatever. It's kind of like do or die at this point. Just because I think Sylvan Sage Vivian is close to her S3. So we soul burn into Sylvan Sage Vivian, we get rid of all the stacks, and then we're able to rip the crow for the easy W, I hope. We still have defense buff for this bonus follow-up attack. And yeah, it looks pretty close, but we got it, we got there. If we could only not have gotten Bryceria's S3 resisted, I think that would have been much closer. But that is what you get when you pick a bunch of units that are bad into Aria and don't ban Aria. I really wish my Aria had better gear though. I think that she's on the little she's on the squishier side. Aria's a really high gear score unit. Like, she gets 30 free crit for free, and she's still incredibly difficult to build just because she requires like a very specific set of stats on a set that gives no stats. So that is tragic. But yes, you all heard about my 320 Payra from earlier, right? So I'm going to give you an example of how this draft can be used very similarly to how I use my Celius, because we run into one of the most prolific cleavers on the ladder, which is Mr. Kana. I ran into him a few times on stream the other day, and he had a lot of quite choice things to say about my guild, saying that we're full of degenerate cleavers, but like, buddy, have you seen the drafts? You do? Like, the call is coming from inside the house, sir. Anyway, I digress. I first pick Steny, and I invite in the Cleave, because, you know, like, if cleavers see first pick Steny, like, they like drool, they like salivate, because Steny is squishy, she's slow, she's giga killable, and he takes the Celius. Kana actually knows me, or like he refers to me as a 310 Celius guy, so he's probably confused as to why I didn't pick Celius, but it's because we're trying something new for once. And we're not like the other cleavers because we're actually playing standard for once. But yeah, he picks Celius, nobody's surprised. His Celius is probably 310 too, with like better stats than mine because he's a whale, but not important, I digress. I'm just waiting for him to pick his like van or whatever. He oddly picks Bryceria, which I wasn't expecting, but no matter. We pick Payra plus DJB. Really, really old combo. Like, it's nothing new, but very obnoxious nonetheless. Zeal's open, so he might pick that, or he might pick Ran or something, or he might pick, whoa, what can he pick? But I do know my Payra is faster than a Celius if he picks Sid as his imprint, so that's what we're banking on. Or maybe he thinks that, I don't know. I am a 1-speed Andy, I'm not gonna lie. For anyone expecting anything different, I am a 1-speed Andy. But, you know, it's better than nothing. We make do with what we have. He picked Zeo Jacko, which is incredibly obnoxious to deal with. So I understand why he picked Bryceria. He doesn't want me to pick like Aiden Fat Cat 4 or 5. But luckily for him, I didn't have Fat Cat built anyway. I pick Edward here just because his draft is really, really debuff centric. But to be honest, Edward kind of sucks because Edward does die to Jacko S3 if she has Vigor from Celius. So that's kind of sketch. But whatever. I'm kind of panicking on what to pick last. I think good picks here would be like Karina or like Rem or something, but do I have any of those units built? Obviously not, because I've been playing Cleave variations this whole time. So we're going back to old reliable, which is FCC, because FCC provides like 5 million % MIT. And we wait for his last pick. I'm just hoping it's not an imprint, but the way I drafted doesn't really show that, you know, like I'm like really fast or whatever. So I'm kind of praying that he just picks like a Cleave bridge or like Emma Laika or something. Something that Para can shut down by outspeeding. Basically. But yeah, I guess he doesn't really know what to pick either. Or maybe he's roping me because he thinks I'm roping him, but I was just panicking on what to pick. But we banned Zio just to ego him. This is like the most ego ban ever. I think any normal person would have just banned C Pavel and moved on with their life, but I was egoing him. I was so ready to clap some cleaver cheeks, you know, as a reformed standard player. But yeah, we're gonna move on into the match. But again, my Para is almost 10 speed up on him, so if he does outspeed me, I'm gonna have a stroke.
You dare stop me?
But oh, look at that. It looks like my Para's faster. We were able to rip our S2 and boom. Yikes. 8 out of 8 debuffs, so he's kind of screwed. I think a lot of people have forgotten how bullshit Para is, because Para like takes a shit on like a lot of drafts. If you're not a green centric draft, she kind of dicks it, and she kind of dicks like slow bruisers. Like, have you ever seen Apox get soloed by Para before? Because I have, and in the driver's seat, and it's disgusting. She's good against Karina. She's good against like certain types of knights and stuff. But yeah, I was able to push up and then reverse cleave him, but I guess that was a little too much mental damage. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks for coming with me into this journey. What a nice way to close off the end of Pride Month with, you know, we're moving away from Cleave, but not entirely, because you could pivot this draft aggressively, like in the first game against Unihero. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.